intro.
Okay. All right, fine. Hold on. Okay. All right. And we're live. You ready?
Yep.
Hang on. Let me remember. Again, we should write this down. How did we do this? Yeah, hang on.
You know, about 2 weeks ago, one of us suggested writing it down, and clearly none
Yeah,
of us.
we both agreed. We could do the hey there, hi there, ho there.
Yeah.
All right. Let me make this up. God, dude, you should see me in the office when I'm feeling like this and someone calls and I say, "Hi, it's Tennessee Sling. This Pat, may I help you?" Suddenly I'm all happy, even though I sound like I look right now on the camera. Okay. All right. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Hello again. And this is 6 months behind your podcast for Marvel Unlimited. I'm Pat.
And I'm Sean.
And we're here to talk about the comics that came out the week of March the 6th, 2015. We had a fairly good week, and it was all right. We had some good Hydra books. We're still in the Secret Wars period. I keep waiting for the books to come out to relaunch. And I'm doing math, trying to figure out how many months we are into this thing, and see how many more months we're going to get of, or weeks maybe, we're going to get of Secret Wars books before we start getting the Marvel relaunches into Marvel Unlimited. And I don't think it's going to be long.
You know, I've been waiting on that relaunch stuff because I'm enjoying Secret Wars, but I'm seeing some of the art and stuff posted on social media by, Brian Michael Bendis and Jason Aaron, and I just want to get to it, especially that Doctor Strange book that Jason Aaron's writing.
Yeah, it's that's the thing about Unlimited, and that's why we're 6 months behind. Is it's very inexpensive, but you wait 6 months to get it. So,
right.
At the same time, somebody's as we're talking this week, some of these storylines are wrapping down. Future Imperfect number 5 is the last issue. The Inhumans book is already wrapped up. Several books have already wrapped up. Some of these books are obviously winding down. The problem, which was the original problem, is what are they going to do with the Secret Wars books? Are they going to make you wait another 5 months, 6 months before you get Secret Wars number 9, or are they just going to roll them out? I don't know what the answer to that is.
I would think on Unlimited because they want a steady stream. That's the product model, is a steady stream of new comic books all the time. That they're just gonna do like they did in print, and you're just gonna see those books start showing up, and we'll get the Secret Wars stuff when we get it.
You would think, yeah. All right.
Or since it's already printed, they could just drop the last 4 Secret Wars books and all the new stuff, and there you go.
Dude, I just say when all your, when your time frame runs out, they've printed, you're in Unlimited, just release them 4 weeks in a row or every other week, or just release them to get Unlimited back on schedule and move on with it.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know what we're referring to, they really screwed up the release schedule of these books when they originally printed them. And so you have the 2 events running into each other because of time constraints.
What they actually did, Secret Wars number 8 should have shipped in August, I believe. And instead, Secret Wars number 8 shipped in December. The problem was they didn't end the series with Secret Wars number 8. They expanded it into 9 issues, and Secret Wars number 9 shipped sometime, I believe, the second week of January. So an event that should have been a summer event and ended the first or second week of August actually ended the second week of January. What is that, 5 months late?
Right.
Yeah. So if you keep it in Unlimited on the same schedule, you got it 5 months behind. And during that process, they relaunched the universe. All the other books came out. All the Secret Wars books ended. There you go. Which brings us to this week's books. It was, as we said, it was a good book. Did you read that Hail Hydra number 3?
I sure did. This has been a series I've really enjoyed, and I always like Rick Remender. I always like him as a writer. Anytime I see that he wrote something, I'm interested in it. But I think my favorite part of this book has just been the utter dystopian, weird, alternate future that the Hydra district has become.
It is pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah, I read that too. I enjoyed it.
It's preparing me for the eventual presidency of Donald Trump.
That's good. That may be when a Donald Trump presidency becomes. Yes, that's quite possible. I was reading about Trump this afternoon. He is about to get brown shirted people to show up at his rallies and just throw out anyone that doesn't agree with him. They're going to wear these little armbands on them that have swastikas, and they're just going to throw. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Anyway, we digress. Okay.
So when you first dive into this Hail Hydra book, you've got like the weird. It's like Baron von Strucker is Iron Hydra, and you got the Hydra version of Captain America, and Venom's over there, and it's just like the twisted villain Avengers.
Yeah, it's like the Dark Avengers from a few years ago. It's a good read though. It's a very good book, and the tricky part is if you read that's Stephen Rogers' son.
Right.
Holy cow.
Nomad.
Well, from Earth 1602, it's Nomad from Earth 1602, which came from Baron Zemo's alternate dimension.
Is it 1602?
In the last Captain America? Yes. Yeah, dude. If you didn't read it, I don't have time to explain it, man. It's complicated. Okay. Yeah. His adopted son, I should say. He's actually Baron Zemo's kid with Steve Rogers' DNA, but
right.
Steve Rogers and Sharon Carter raised him in an alternate dimension. There
right. You go. So you have Baron Zemo with the values of Captain America and Steve Rogers. So
yes,
and he's he wakes up in this horrible Hydra time and decides he's going to fight back no matter what, and that's your basic story. And this is the third issue, and it I really enjoyed this book. I've enjoyed the whole thing. The first two issues.
Yep. We
definitely a double thumbs up.
There you go. We have 1602 Witch Hunter, which I have not read. I'm not a big Angela fan, although they've done a good job moving her into the Marvel Universe. It's just the art and the story just kind of left me, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever.
Oh, you didn't like the art?
No.
Because really. I didn't have a chance to read it, but I looked through it because I saw the artist was Irving Fraser, and I went, "Oh heck yeah!" Because I absolutely love his work. He did some work on the X-Men book when Bendis took it over, and it's cool art. At least I think so.
Okay, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, it's not particularly my favorite style, but it's and we're wondering why we're buffering. How many devices can we run at one time? There you go. Okay.
No, but I mean, I've never been a big fan of Angela either, which is why I skipped over it. But it's worth a look for the art at the very least.
Yep. A-Force #4. Very good book. Very good series, actually. This is basically She-Hulk leading, I want to say what's the name of that district? Utopia? No, it's not Utopia. So. It's something else.
Yeah.
Anyway, and this is the next to last book. I want to say the penultimate book. There's a 4-syllable word for you.
It's basically Lady Avengers, right?
Yes, it's basically Lady Avengers. The villain here is Loki, and it's a good book. It's a very good book. It's a good read. It's got good characters in it.
Is it Lady Loki?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Loki and Star-Lord both have this thing. The original, let me rephrase that. The original Guardians of the Galaxy Star-Lord, the one that runs around in the blue costume, not the current Star-Lord, both have this thing where they go back and forth between male and female. At this point, it's Lady Loki. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So this is very much a female-centered book. This is them trying to reach out to that demographic, and
it's still a good book, man. It's still don't be sexist. Don't be sexist, man. Come on.
I'm not being sexist. I'm remarking on the clunky marketing strategies of comic book publishers.
Dude, you got that.
They just stick a bunch of
Marvel. Yeah, I mean we've got Miss Marvel, which is a Muslim character now. It's they're reaching out to demographics.
Which is fine. I just wonder if that solution is just putting, a bunch of ladies on a team together. I think you could just write the characters better.
I think they're so desperate to sell comic books, they'll do anything. That's just
me. Yeah. This is also true.
Yeah, this is, and I'm with you. Write better stories, they sell. Instead, you've got Bobby Drake Gage, you got a Muslim Miss Marvel, you've got all these things, which I've heard Stanley comment on it. I've heard Stanley comment in the '60s. He had in the '60s and '70s, he created the Black Panther to address racial issues. They created the Uncanny X-Men to address all the racial and discourse issues in the United States.
Right.
He's basically said if he were writing these days, if he were current, and this dives into the whole Stan Lee, Jack Kirby issue, which I think we touched on last week. If he were writing this week, he would write gay characters. He would write Muslim characters. He would write all of these characters just like they are now. So to be relevant. So there you go.
Sure. I mean, at one point in time, they were created to represent a particular demographic and a particular issue. Those issues have shifted or taken on nuances. And so the storytelling has to do the same thing.
Of course.
I don't want to give anybody the impression that either of us have a problem with a gay Bobby Drake or a Muslim superhero.
No.
It's just, I was more remarking on, the marketing, how sometimes it's a little clunky when they put books together like this, but,
Yeah, it's easier to just write good books and sell them that way. Yeah.
Exactly.
Age of Apocalypse #3. It's a retelling the Age of Apocalypse story, which if you read and enjoyed the first time, you'll enjoy this time. I was kind of whatever. It was okay.
Yeah, I didn't look at it.
Yep. Age of Ultron Zombies Verse Zombies #4. This was actually a surprisingly good book. It was have we talked about this book before?
You've told me about how important the Marvel Zombie book actually is to
this book takes place on the other side of the shield, where you've got the Ultrons and the zombies, which are basically what rule on the other side of the shield. So it's an interesting. If you want to understand what goes on the other side of the shield, it's that's what this is.
I really need to be reading this book.
You should read this book because what's really entertaining is they take a Hank Pym from Timely, from the 1800s, and throw him over to S.H.I.E.L.D., and he meets up with the Vision, Wonder Man, and what's the original Human Torch's name? I can't remember his name.
Oh, dang.
Anyway, he meets up with all three of these characters who have created a shelter inside of the S.H.I.E.L.D. And if you know your Marvel history, Hank Pym created all three of these characters, but you've got a Hank Pym who's got scientific knowledge of the 1800s, not 2016, and they're saying, hey, we need you to fix this. So the first thing he has to do is come to grips with the fact that he's in 2016 or technology of 2016 and not where he was in the 1800s, and that there is other technology out there and that there was actually other districts beside the one he was in, because it's really strange in this, and I'm going to digress for a moment. Some people realize that there's other districts, and you can go from district to district, and some of the districts know that there's other districts and some of them don't, which really makes it interesting. So when you read this Hank Pym doesn't know there's other districts till he gets thrown over the wall. It's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah, I imagine that'll change your whole world.
Yeah, it kind of rocked his world. It really did rock his world. Deadpool. There's a Deadpool. I tell you what, there is a Deadpool. Deadpool versus Thanos.
Is this good? Is this any good? Or is it?
Ask yourself what would happen if Deadpool fought Thanos, and that's pretty much what happens. They find a way to make it interesting, and we were just talking about cheap marketing ploys. Write good books instead of throwing Deadpool into 57 comic books a month.
Yeah, that's traditionally been a problem with Deadpool, which is why I'm glad they did the movie right. This is just a bad. We've got two characters who are hot: Thanos from the movies and Deadpool. So let's throw them together and see if they work. Yeah, I mean, I've never,
let's put both their names on the right. Let's put both their names on the title and see if it sells something. And I read it very quickly. don't waste your time. I would say don't waste the $4 buying it, but you get it for free. So, if you want to look at it, knock yourself out.
Yeah. Not the best Deadpool material.
No. God, no. No. All right. Daredevil number 18, which was written by Mark Waid, is some great material.
Is it?
I told you a while back. Dude, I have limited time. I have limited time in my life to do things, to read comic books, to put a podcast together, to work. I'm going to make time to go back and read this series from issue 1 to issue 18. That's how good this series is. Because there's a, and I told you, if nothing else, I wish I could find it real quick, but we're already dragging this out too long. There's an issue in, I think it's issue 15 or 16, where there's some scenes between Daredevil, and Kingpin. One of the best scenes I've ever seen in a comic book. And for those who don't know, I've been reading comics since 1974. Okay, long time. One of the best scenes I've ever seen written. I mean, it's one of those things where you sit there and you read it and you go, "Oh, wow! Well, I didn't see that coming," and that's extremely interesting. That's good.
Mark Waid is a really good writer, and he's really good at Daredevil. Daredevil is a character that is just always excels in his hands.
Yeah, it was really good. It really was. And that scene, what he did is he obviously wrote it out, told the artist, this is what's happening. And then the artist, who I'm not familiar with, I'm not as good with all these names as you are. Is that Chris Sampson? Chris Simone?
Samney?
Samney?
That's the penciler. That's the guy that did the cover. I don't.
Anyway, did a great job of interpreting what Mark Waid told him to draw. It's fantastic. And this is the conclusion of that whole series. Dude, it's great, man. It's really, really good. And at the end, instead of the world going white, he just kind of lives happily ever after until the world goes white.
Oh, wow. Okay. I glanced at the art for just a minute. The art looks good. I need to go back and read this too. I've decided I'm going to read some Daredevil stuff since we got the series coming up at the end of this week. So,
let's change gears for a moment. Since talking Daredevil, we'll go back and talk about this week's dump. There's 83 books that were put out this week. There's about 15 new issues. There's 4 of a Magneto miniseries. There's 4 of a Gambit series, which means probably the other 65 are Daredevil books.
Yeah.
Where they're trying to get the Daredevil series somewhere near complete, and they still did a horrible job of it. I'm looking for an X-Men. I was looking for an X-Men book before we started this podcast. All 550 of the original Uncanny X-Men book are there. I looked at the Amazing Spider-Man book. All 350 of the original Amazing Spider-Man series, 1963, 1998, are there. You look at the Daredevil book. They can't get to issue 100. Somewhere around issue 80, you start hitting gaps. And then you hit gaps to about the Frank Miller series where he takes it over somewhere around issue 158. And it completes the run. There's basically the Frank Miller run there. And then there's more gaps. And then there's the next Frank Miller run. And then there's just gaps at the end of the series. I don't understand why you have a character that is as popular as Daredevil is at this point, and you can't fill in those gaps. And obviously they're trying to do it here. But, you're about to come out with the second season of Daredevil. He's extremely popular. It's one of the most popular shows on Netflix. Guys, get it there. Just get it there.
Yeah, and I think what you're seeing here is an effort to do that, because there's a good chunk of books here. It's not all complete, but and a bunch of the newer stuff is on here, like all the from basically 1998 on, like all the Bendis stuff, and then I forget who came in after Bendis did on that book.
Kevin Smith did like 6 issues, and then somebody took it over. And
now some of these you got,
stuff's there.
Yeah, all the new stuff's there, so there's plenty to dig through. The problem is you just read it all.
I've read it all. Yes. probably twice.
I was looking through some of this Daredevil stuff, the Ralph Macchio years. And, if nothing else, this art looks really good, particularly these covers.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who's doing the cover art, but some of it's really good. And
What issues are we talking about?
Starts with 319 and goes through
John
like
Romita did some of that. I don't know who did all those.
Well, this cover art looks really cool, like the one where he's jumping off the building and
yeah. I purchased those.
And if you like that kind of gritty style that the 90s comics had, a lot of them, that real I don't know, it's just got kind of a gritty feel to it in terms of the way the story moves, the way it's storyboarded, and just the art in general. They're pretty good.
Yeah, they're not bad.
Yeah.
Okay. We have Future Imperfect number 5, which I loved.
I actually did go look through this
Peter
today.
David and Greg Land, and I think you dumped on.
No, I didn't. I actually looked through it again this afternoon, and it's pretty good.
You're not a Hulk guy.
No, I'm not.
I mean, you're not a Hulk guy. You don't know who the Maestro is. You never read the Future Imperfect series the first time, so you're not really a Hulk guy.
Yeah, I know in this one he embraces the Destroyer and things happen, but and it was, I had no idea what was going on, but I enjoyed reading it. So, even though I'm not a Hulk person, it was a good book.
The series in itself, issues 1 through 5, if you're into Peter David, if you're into the Hulk, it's good. If you're not into the Hulk, well, like being, and there's some people don't, the Hulk has been a hard character to write. And Peter David had about a 10-year run on the Hulk through various incarnations. He came up with the Gray Hulk. He came up with Mr. Fix-It. He came out with the Future Imperfect storyline. I mean, he's the guy that took him basically from Hulk Smash to let's do different things with this guy.
Yeah.
And just for all intents and purposes, evolved him beyond the brainless beast that he is and created different versions of him, like the Maestro, like Mr. Fix-It, created different incarnations of the Hulk personality that led the way to things like, the World Breaker that you see in World War Hulk. He opened the door for all these things, which is what Peter David did. And it's pretty cool. It's good to see him writing something like this. So there you go.
Yeah. I always like his work, and, you got Greg Land's art. So you couldn't ask for much more.
Yep. Groot number 4.
I had not.
While we were waiting, okay, I read Groot number 1. I think I read Groot number 2. While we were waiting to begin this podcast, I read Groot number 4. You kept me waiting a long time. I read Groot number 4. Dude, this book is simply hilarious. It's hard to take a character and all his words are simply "I am Groot" and write a comic book around it. Okay, it's hard. Yet, whoever is writing this, and I really want to know, and I really want to get this right,
Jeff Loveness
creators, does a magnificent job with it. It is so magnificent. At the end of like the next to last page, he dies. Okay, he's reduced to the splinter form.
Yes,
and one of the characters saves him. And have you ever read the original Dark Phoenix story?
Not really.
No, not really. Good Lord, son, I have to teach you things. Golly. In X-Men 132, the X-Men are completely defeated by the Hellfire Club. Okay, they're completely defeated.
All right. Understand it got told verbatim in the X-Men cartoon that I saw as a child, so I'm familiar with it. I just never went and read the books.
Okay, but what you have to understand is at the end, the last page of Uncanny number 132, all the X-Men are either left for dead, captured, or defeated. In the case of Wolverine, he's been beaten and thrown into the sewer. So the last panels, it's 5 panels of X-Men 132 is Wolverine grabbing a sewer pipe, pulling himself up, popping his claws, and saying, "I'm coming for you." Okay. The the last 5 panels of this Groot issue recreate that scene with him saying, "I am Groot," and going to rescue Rocket Raccoon. Okay. I actually went and looked at John Byrne's art from Uncanny 132.
And they mirrored
it. They mirrored it completely in Groot number 4. It's hilarious. Right down to the red in Groot's eyes. Okay. It's hilarious, man. It's hilarious. And the thing is, you may not even get that joke. Okay. I mean, I don't know if someone besides my age would get that joke, but it's hilarious. And it's such it's a panel that's been redrawn several times over the years. And it's one of those classic panels. If you see it, you'll recognize it. Because if you look at the cover of 133, and we're really getting sidetracked here, Uncanny 133, Chris Claremont was in a really interesting place right here, because he was pushing the boundaries of what comics books were at this point in the late 70s, early 80s. Let me see when. Number 1, issue 132 was published in April 10th of 1980. He was pushing the boundaries of what comic books were. Okay, at this point, they still had to get the Comics Code of Approval. Okay, that's a long story for another time. But they still had to get the Comics Code of Approval. Okay, which goes back to the 50s, which is that's a 1-hour podcast in itself.
A whole podcast, yeah.
But so in issue 133 is the first time you see Wolverine cut loose and just slaughtering people, just leaving a trail of bodies behind him. And it's where Wolverine becomes this fictional character, this character of mythos and hyperbole that we have now. He becomes this mythical figure that we have now. That you really see that in 133. And just so you understand the Comics Code of Authority, when Jean Grey commit suicide in issue 135, 136, actually didn't get the Comics Code of Authority. Didn't get it. They refused to give it to it. And Marvel got in a fight with them and said, well, we're going to publish it anyway. And it's was only the second time in Marvel's years that they said, okay, fine, we're going to publish the book anyway. And just published it without seal, and it was a big deal. The other book was, I think, Amazing Spider-Man 9 or 100, which shows Harry Osborn shooting up heroin. Spider-Man 99 or 100 showed Harry Osborn shooting up heroin and becoming a heroin addict, and Peter Parker / Spider-Man's got to save him. And in a couple of issues, you have Jean Grey committing suicide, which is essentially what she did at the end of the Dark Phoenix saga, and it didn't get the comics. Right. So that's how much Claremont was pushing the bounds of what comic books could and couldn't be there in the 80s with the Uncanny X-Men. Okay, how did we chase that rabbit that far down that hole?
I don't know, but I'm looking at this group book and it looks funny and it's got an art style that I like and is indicative of the kind of series that it is. I'm going to go back and read this.
Between the scrolls and that stupid robot, just go back to issue 1 and read it through. It's hilarious. It's just at the end, this is the team he's assembled to save Rocket Raccoon. And Rocket Raccoon is telling his captors, hey, man, we got the Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, we got Gamora, we got Drax the Destroyer. And he shows up with these goofs, and Rocket's like, dude, really? You get the Guardians and you show up with these goofs?
Well, you know.
All you got to do is make a phone call, and you got these guys. What? I'm telling you, man, it is hilarious. Anyway, House of M number 2. It's a great book, man. That's a complete retelling of the House of M. It really, some of these books have really, like Future Imperfect really stayed with the Future Imperfect storyline, stayed very close to it. This House of M book really deviated from the original House of M series. Have you read it?
The original series or this book?
Either one.
The original series, yes. This book, I have not. I've been meaning to, but it keeps getting pushed further to the bottom of the pile.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You got the House of M monarchy, and you got Wanda Maximoff there, who's obviously still mad and obviously still in control and can obviously just wipe everything away by speaking her mind.
Yes,
or by speaking the words, I should say. Mm-hmm. But they really take a different direction with it. it's pretty cool. It's a very good read. It's a very good read.
Yeah,
Really good.
I need to dive into it. I do. I always like stories told in the House of M world.
Yeah. I don't think either one of us had read that Mockingbird book.
Nope.
Looks good. It's a Shield book. Silk #7 is the
Nope.
ongoing Silk book. Nope. Neither one of us has read it. Spider Island #3 is something I've been meaning to read that I haven't. You can tell alphabetically. I didn't make it to the end of the alphabet this week. Okay. Yeah, you can tell that, can't you? Because I have really enjoyed the Squadron Sinister, Star-Lord, and Thor's books. Those last
Really?
3 books there. I've really enjoyed all 3 of those books. All 3 of those are great books, and I simply haven't had time to read them yet.
Yeah, you told me about Star-Lord and Kitty Pryde. I passed over Thor's, but Jason Aaron's writing it, so I believe you when you tell me it's good.
You should go back and read it. I will tell you here's the plot: is someone is gathering all of the Jane Fosters in all the districts and all the domains. Someone is gathering all the Jane Fosters from all over Battle World and killing them.
Oh, that sounds sinister.
Yeah, because understand, you got the Thors, okay?
Right.
You know, who are the Thor's core. You know, they're Doom's police force.
Yeah, the Doom police force.
Right, and they know what's going on, and they travel from domain to domain, you know, from place to place. And someone is snatching up every Jane Foster from all over Battle World and killing them. And dude, it's pretty good, man. And then one of the Thors, I want to say it's one of the Ultimate Thors.
Yeah, probably.
One of the Thor's partner gets killed, and he really gets ticked off. He gets ticked off, and dude, it's all bad. That Squadron Sinister book is really good. The Star-Lord Kitty Pryde book is. I'll give you a summary of the Kitty Pryde book. If you've been reading, did you ever get around to reading Secret Wars #5?
Yeah, it's actually been a little while.
Yeah, you realize that Valeria, is that the correct pronunciation? I want to say Valerie, and that's not the way they're spelling it. It's Valeria, I think. Is realizing something isn't right in Doctor Doom's little world here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and she and her scientific team are going to investigate it.
Right. Oh, well, Valerie, the Reed's kid, the Richards kid.
Yeah. Yes. She's realizing something's not right. And she's going to investigate it, whether Dr. Doom likes it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Kitty Pryde has been sent to investigate anomalies along the way. Well, she runs into Star-Lord, the original Star-Lord from Earth 616. So you got Kitty Pryde from Valerie's science team, and Star-Lord from Earth 616. Well, of course, he's in love with Kitty Pryde. He sees Kitty Pryde and think they're going to live happily ever after. Well, she's investigating an anomaly. Well, here's a walking, talking anomaly in front of her.
Right.
And along the way, Kitty Pryde realizes this isn't as simple as she thinks it is because, now she's, you realize she has doubts. Valerie has doubts. She has doubts about what's going on. It's a good book, man. It's not just a love story. It's them. Yeah, it's a good book.
Okay, good. And you've read all the Secret Wars stuff. I haven't, but I wonder if Valerie's something of a key to this whole thing.
I'm actually trying to remember.
Because Reed Richards sure seemed to think she was.
I've been meaning to go back. They're actually beside my bed to be read, issues 6 through 9, and I think she is. I believe so.
They played her up a lot, especially leading up to the story, and then to position her the way that they did after, in Battle World.
Yes.
To, for her to just kind of be left sitting in a bucket at the end.
Yeah. No, it's. No, I remember how it ends. Her and Susan. Yeah, I remember how it ends now. Yeah, it's. Yeah.
She plays a prominent role.
Yeah, Doom's world pretty much crumbles around him. And that would involve his makeshift family crumbling around him also.
Right. Did you read any of this X-Men 92 stuff?
I have not read it. Those are Infinite Comics. No, I have not read those yet.
Yeah, me either. If I want to read X-Men from the 90s, I'm going to go read X-Men from the 90s. Because this is Marvel Unlimited, and I can do that.
Those are not bad books. I
No,
think I
they're
read
not,
the first
but-
issue. I think I read the first issue of X-Men 92. It's not bad. Here's the thing. When we're getting 10 to 20 comic books new a week, okay? And as we said a few minutes ago, we've got time. We've got a limited amount of time. A book almost has to be great for me to find time to read it. If it's
Absolutely.
if it's great, I'm going to read it. If it's really good, I'm going to read it. If it's pretty good, I'm probably going to do, at some point I'll probably see this month's book and then go back and read the 2 or 3 months previous books. If it's mediocre, like that X-Men 92 book, they're probably just get dumped. But, because, if I had time, I'd probably read it, but there's limited time. And I just don't have time to read mediocre books. That's a mediocre book.
Right. Yeah. Which is why if you consolidate and you write really good stories, you don't have to publish 92 comics every month.
Yeah.
But then we get to this Magneto dump and this Gambit dump of it's not really a dump. It's more like just a handful.
Yeah, I think it's a couple of limited series that the Gambit book, I think last week or week before, they put out issues 1 through 10, and now they're getting caught up with issues 11 and 12. And then I don't remember that Magneto. There's some really good limited series from the early 80s that I wish they'd published besides these. And these are obviously already digitized, so it's easy for them to publish. Dude, there's some great limited series from the 80s. I wish they published. There's the X-Men versus everybody. It's like the X-Men versus Fantastic Four, the X-Men versus Avengers. There's some Magneto limited series there where he fights some people. They had some great crossovers in the annuals. There's some great stuff out there from where they did a limited series and crossovers and annuals that I wish, and maybe it's there and I haven't found it yet, but I don't think it is because I've looked before. I've looked for those limited series and I haven't found them yet. All right, what else we got?
That gets to that Daredevil dump. And that's pretty much it in the new stuff for the week. And I know we've run a little long, but I wanted to point out, if you go to your Discover tab, they've got some Punisher stuff, I guess, heading into the second season of Daredevil, the TV show. It's no secret that the Punisher shows up. I went back and read Punisher Civil War, which is, basically what the Punisher was doing, or Punisher War Journal, excuse me, what he was doing during the Civil War period. And it's some of the early writing, some early Marvel writing from Matt Fraction, who I like a lot. And, it's his writing, and Ariel Olivetti did the art, and it's really good. He has to bail Spider-Man out at the end. Yeah, man, it's really good stuff.
That's cool.
And then,
all right, well, with that, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say there's also Daredevil, The Man Without Fear. If you are interested in any of the Daredevil stuff, they've got the Bendis Malieve run, the Brubaker run, and Mark Waid's run from a few years ago. So if you're wanting more Daredevil in your life, it's there.
I want to go back and read Shadowland. I've been meaning to do it.
I never
read
on
that list
of
books I want to read. It's good. It's very good. This is getting us completely off track. I finally got around to watching the teaser for Daredevil season 2. And is Elektra going to be in every episode, apparently?
Possibly.
I think so. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, back to comic books. That is comic books. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Anyway. Now you're going to be looking at things in Discover. Avengers, Time Runs Out. That's a good book.
Yeah, there's some really good stuff in the Discover area, and you can just scroll. It just goes on forever. And
they've got the Death of Wolverine consolidated in there. They got Original Sin in there. It does go on forever. Age of Ultron, the complete event.
This is something that I think Marvel has gotten really good at with this app is consolidated. Once they publish the books, they'll go back and curate the events and the big things, and you can just go to it, and like with the Death of Wolverine, you can read the Death of Wolverine and all the reaction books, and
Oh,
you know.
there's the Korvac saga. Hang on. How did they consolidate that? Wow, I did not realize they can consolidate Korvac saga into.
Into its own little event thing.
Yeah, they threw in Thor Annual number 6. Yeah, I told you 167 through 177. They read the Thor Annual in there.
Yeah, that
There you go.
Discover tab is probably one of my favorite features because it just, if you just want to read chunks of story, it's there.
Yeah, there you go.
Or particularly really good runs. Like I think that that Hawkeye book is there that Matt Fraction did a few years ago. His run on that.
House of M, the complete event. How many books is that?
Too
There's
many.
47. There's 47 books.
Lord.
If you wanted to read it.
And what Secret Wars is? What 9?
Dude, Secret Wars is like
8 or 9 regular books, and then
it's like 100 books we got to read it all.
yeah, I mean, I don't know how the publisher expects people to actually buy all the comics from these events, but apparently
I
they
have
do.
no idea. There's Secret Invasion. How many books is that? No, that's only. No, that's not right.
It's a shorter one. But
no, I'm still scrolling.
oh Lord,
Nope. 98. 98 plus another 5 recapping.
So 98 books at $2.99 a pop at the time, 2007, or $10 a month.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah, I mean,
Jason Aaron's greatest Marvel hits. There's a tab for you.
That'd be a good one to dive into.
I'm looking. I'm trying to find. We're just chasing rabbits all over the place, and we're at like the 1 hour mark, I think.
Yeah,
we're close.
It's all good.
Who has wielded Thor's hammer? There's a frog that's carried Thor's hammer. That's beside the point.
which when people got all bent out of shape when a woman picked it up, I was like, dude, a frog. Come on.
A frog.
An alien that we've never seen before, and you get upset when Jane Foster
Beta
picks
Ray
it up.
Bill is cool. Come on now. Beta Ray Bill is cool. Why do I not see Avengers Disassembled?
Okay.
You don't like Beta Ray Bill?
I don't mind Beta Ray Bill. No, Avengers Disassembled is there. I saw it recently. I think it's under the Best of Bendis, which was one I saw that popped up in my Discover tab. In fact, I think you can find all those disassembled books if you search for them.
Well, I've tried to search for them, and I've had trouble finding them. Best of Bendis. All right, let's go back down to the bottom. Dude. Okay, if you say it's here, I'm taking your word for it, but I'm not finding it. All right. Anyway.
Yep. Yes, this is making compelling radio. us just strolling through our app for comic books.
Next week we should get Infinity Gauntlet number 4.
Next week.
Maybe Star Wars number 9. Maybe another Spider-Verse. The Into Armor Wars, which has been a good book if you've read it. Agent Carter Shield 50th anniversary. Another Age of Apocalypse verse book. But I've been completely wrong on what's coming out, so we'll see what does and doesn't come out next week.
Yeah. So far, you're hitting like 2 weeks ahead, or they're just putting out whatever books they feel like.
It's kind of a random monthly thing, I think. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah. By the way, if you go to the Discover tab under Best of Bendis, you scroll down.
Where is Best of Bendis? Dan Slott.
It's right next
Jason
to Vision.
Aaron.
Unless you and I are getting different.
Okay. We're going to continue this off the air. We appreciate you listening, and that is your Marvel Comics for week of March the 6th, 2015. You got anything, brother?
Nope. Just see you next week.
Then we're out. Thank
All
you.
right.